Hello. Something a little bit different. We're usually doing like a load of coding and stuff like that. But today we're going to look at creating a cutscene within Unity. This isn't too dissimilar from using something almost like After Effects or Premiere Pro or even Photoshop for that matter, because they can all take in footage now. But we're going to be kind of sort of looking at the formats, so it's really familiar with that kind of things like timeline and kind of dragging in the cameras and stuff for footage and stuff. But the footage is obviously going to be our game scene, so really that's going to be the only difference. The only other difference as well is that we're going to be using Cinemachine. So if you've never used Cinemachine before, that's fine. What I'm going to do first is, in fact, if I click on my downloads, I can see that I've got a cutscene underscore demo Unity package. I'll put that in the description for you to download, and you can use it yourself. So I'm going to click and drag that in, and this can hopefully quickly, that's nice and quick, import. Okay, because this is just downloaded straight to our assets, we can see that we've got a nice Unity logo cutscene scene here. So if we double click on this, we should be given, do you want to save? No, don't save, don't worry about that. There we go. So this is our current scene that we have been given or been sort of put together within Unity. So if we just quickly have a look at this scene, we can see what's kind of happening. So if I quickly press play, we can see there's a SWAT team guard, and I think the female ninja Akai is creeping up on our SWAT team guy. What I'll also attach, or what I can show an image of as well, is the kind of, I created a storyboard for this, and I think any kind of game cutscene that you're putting together needs to be storyboarded, needs to be planned, just to show where you're going. Otherwise you can just have these mix of different shots and it can just look really, really messy in the final piece. So make sure you plan out your shots, have a look at some shots, give it a Google, mid shot, extreme close-up shot, all those kind of different things that make films really, really good films, or even replicate a really good film scene within Unity as like training, just like we're kind of like doing here, using these two characters, and then implement that into your own game, because obviously just practice makes perfect. So what I am going to do quickly is go to Window, Package Manager, and if you haven't done this before, you can do exactly the same as me. Sometimes you have to click all on different versions of Unity. This is, I think, it's giving me all packages, as you can see here, and I'm going to look for Cinemachine. There it is. Click on that, and we're just going to click install. So I'm using, I think, maybe even a beta version at the moment of Unity 19.3. If you're below that, that's fine. Just install whatever package manager prompts you to install. So if I click install, there we go. So that's all loaded through. We can get rid of that now, and we can see on our top bar that we can see component Cinemachine window. So Cinemachine is now popped up here. That's awesome. That's what we need to do. I'm just going to quickly, I've just named this cube. I'm just going to rename that floor just so I don't confuse myself with what I'm doing later on. Okay. So to get Cinemachine involved into Unity, we click Cinemachine and do create virtual camera. And this automatically, as you can see in the scene here, has created a virtual camera. And in the hierarchy, it's called it CMVCam1. That's fine. Just to simplify things, I'm just going to call this Cam1. Press enter, make sure that's an actual one, exclamation mark. Lovely. So my first shot, if you look at the mini storyboard that I created, I'll just put it as like an attachment file that you can download. You can see is of an almost like over the shoulder shot of our SWAT guard and Akai creeping up on our unsuspecting guard. If you've never used Cinemachine before, don't worry. Essentially, it's just a nice simplified Unity technology that's been packaged, that's been created by Unity, and making things a lot more simpler, even when it comes to creating 2D games, 2.5D games, 3D games, and obviously cutscenes. So here I'm using my main scene camera, so I'm not using my main camera, I'm just kind of using my scene camera. It can't be seen within my scene, and this is going to be almost like my brain. This is going to control each scene and show where each one is going to start off. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm just going to get a nice over the shoulder shot. That's quite nice. Once I'm happy with that, what I'm going to do, so if I'm happy with my first shot, I'm going to click on Cam 1, go to Game Object, and go to Align with View. Once I've done this, you can see that now my Cam 1 has aligned itself with my current scene view. So that's my first scene of Akai creeping up upon my SWAT team guard. Perfect, absolutely fine. And that's what I want if you're referencing the storyboard that I made. Okay, so my second shot is going to be the making sure Akai has creeped up upon my SWAT team guard, and do a zoom in of her face. So what I'm going to do, just for ease of this, is I'm going to create another second virtual camera, and we're just going to name this Cam 2. Press enter. Fantastic. Cool. As you can see, Cam 2 has already kind of sort of moved itself over. As you can see, in my game view, I'm trying to click back onto Cam 1, but it's not working. What you can do to make this work, if you really want to make an edit to Cam 1, within the inspector of Cam 1, you can see status and standby, and the big button saying solo. If I click solo, I can go to and from each of these camera scenes. So if I was done with camera 1, I can then click onto camera 2. I can either solo that or unsolo it, it doesn't matter, but you can just solo that camera and then click on cam 2, and that will pop back in the same way. Okay, so just like we did with our scene camera and setting up camera 1, I'm going to set up my second shot of camera 2, and that involves me by pressing play and making sure where Akai's face is. So while I'm playing in my scene, I'm just gonna get a nice shot as best as I can, because she looks like she's looking at something. I'm just gonna click. Nice. Awesome. I'm happy with that shot. So despite coming out of play, it will reset my controller, but it hasn't reset my position on my camera. So if I just click Cam 2, go to Game Object, Align with View, that will give me the same view, hopefully. And if I solo that, there we go. So if I play this, there we go. I can see that Cam 2 is now linked with that. If I click on Cam 2, solo that, as you can see the live update there, if I've soloed that camera, has given me the status of Akai's zoomed in face. That's perfect, that's what I want. So I'll come out of that. Cool. So my third camera is concentrating on the SWAT team guy's weapon, his gun. And that's the target for Akai to grab the gun from the SWAT team member. So again, Cinemachine, create virtual camera. I'm going to name this camera 3, but this time I'm going to sweep around and zoom in to this gun to show this is what Akai's mission is to grab this weapon from my SWAT team member here. Okay, again, really happy with the shot. I actually might just quickly zoom out and then zoom in the shot in a bit when we get to that part of the tutorial. So now I've done that, what I'm going to do is, again, camera 3, game object, align with view. Fantastic, awesome, cool. Now we've done that, we've renamed our cameras, we've got all those shots, we can solo them if we want. We now need to put these shots into an order of a timeline, get this kind of sequence going. So what we can do is go to Window, usually under Sequencing, is for this version. If you are using any other versions, usually if you click Window, it's either going to be just straight there, you can scroll down and it will be Timeline is there, or as you can see here, it's under Sequencing. So if I click on Timeline, then we get this brand new box pop up, and what I'm going to do is, let's try and fit this in there. And it does get a little bit cramped in Unity, but this should work for us a little bit better. Don't need any of that. Just going to move that over to the side and move this up just a tad. I can still see my scene views. This is great, but I also can create a different thing for see what's happening with my timeline as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do quickly is right click on my hierarchy and go to create empty. Okay, and once I click create empty, it's going to give me an empty game object. We can easily probably just zero this out just in case any issues do happen, and then we're going to name this virtual cameras. And then what we're going to do is take cam 1, cam 2 and cam 3 and put them into virtual cameras. Okay, so they're stored away in there. This just makes life easier when we're putting stuff onto our timeline, so we can see what each camera is doing for the shots and how long they are, all in one stretch of timeline, so we don't have to create different tracks, and that will make sense just in a minute. Okay, once we've done that, I'm going to go to my assets here, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this folder timeline. So everything from timeline is going to be saved in here. Best thing to do with Unity when we've got loads of assets or scene and we're trying to create cutscenes for a game, keep everything organized, layered and everything like that, and stuff like that. I don't know what that is, but I'm just going to ignore you. Awesome. Right, so what I'm going to do is click on virtual cameras, and timeline will ask to begin a new timeline with virtual cameras, create a direct component and a timeline asset. Okay, that's fine. We can click create. We're going to make sure we save this into timeline, and we can call this virtual cameras timeline. I'm actually perfectly happy with that. So I'm just going to click save. Cool. Okay, so really happy with that. So what we've got here is our virtual cameras animator, essentially. This can be quite confusing because we don't actually need this. So what I want you to do is click on to our virtual cameras. We've got our director, fantastic. Animator, we don't need. So we're going to remove that component, and also right click on this component and delete that as well. We've done that because we're not going through the traditional style of just having loads of different main cameras. We're using Cinemachine to make things a little bit easier, a little bit more simple. It doesn't seem it at the moment, but trust me, it is. So what I'm going to do is click the plus and go to Cinemachine track. There we go. So once I've added my Cinemachine track, at the moment it says non-Cinemachine brain. Okay, so the beauty of this is once we started adding those virtual cameras, without knowing, our main camera was actually given a Cinemachine brain. So this is how we could do a line with view, and it all clipped and blended in perfectly with our different shots of our 3 different cameras. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to click and drag main camera to this Cinemachine brain. There we go, it's gone in. Fantastic. So now our main brain is essentially controlling all 3 of these cameras, which is good. That's just happening on one timeline. Like I was saying before, we don't want loads of different cameras and loads of different timelines. It can just confuse matters when we want to add animations, dialogue, anything else, or anything else even with camera movement. We have to change that. So once we've done that, we've dragged in our main camera. Let's have a look at the timeline itself. As you can see, at the moment, this is frames. That, as cool as that is, we don't need that for now. We need to know the length really of our timeline and how long the scene's going to be. So what I'm going to do is click on the cog and change that to seconds. There we go. So there we go. That's quickly changed to seconds. Awesome. Once we've done that, we can start adding in our virtual cameras. So in our actual timeline, right click and scroll all the way down to, I don't have to scroll down, just go to add Cinemachine shot. So once I click on that, we have this empty Cinemachine shot right here that's around 5 seconds long. So the inspector is now, for this Cinemachine shot, asking us for a virtual camera. Well, what I'm going to do is click and drag camera 1 over to that shot. There we go, and it's popped in straight away. And as you can see, the game scene is automatically popped over to this scene. So camera 1 is in our shot. Fantastic. Okay, so let's do this with our other shot. So I'm going to put that down to about 2.5 seconds. Add another shot. Again, this shot is going to be for camera 2, and then the third one, obviously, camera 3. Okay, awesome. So what I can do is scroll across, and we can even play these out now. So that's my camera 1, that should go to camera 2. There we go, is my second shot for camera 2, and camera 3. Awesome, fantastic. What you may notice though is that we haven't got any animation in camera 2. The animation isn't working, even though it's working within game when we press play. That doesn't really help us when we want to, view it within our game scene when we're not actually pressing play. But there's a way we can do that, so do not worry. So what we need to do is on our timeline with a plus, or in some other versions it may say add, we can go to add an animation track. So once we click on that, it's going to ask for an animator. Okay, we don't need to directly go to the animator. What we do need to do is find the model, the object, the effect that does have the animator on it though. So obviously within our hierarchy, I know that Akai, our ninja lady person, is the one with the sort of stalking kind of sneaking forward. There we go, sneaking forward animation. So I can just click her and drag her straight in to there. Awesome, cool. So we should now have her sneaking forward onto our track. Press play. Oh, not yet. Okie dokes. So, added the animation track. We've added a Kai. On the timeline track. We need to add our animation clip. That's why. Okay, so we need our animation clip because there could be multiple animations. So what we need to do is usually sometimes a drop down, but we can quickly just click this, go to add from animation clip, and then we can go. It's sneaking forward 1. I accidentally added a sneaking forward that was just in place, so she wasn't actually moving. But if we double click on that, there we go, there's our animation. So we want our animation to play within this scene. So this is only going to last 2 seconds, so we can play this. There we go. There's our scene. Okay, so what I'm going to quickly do is that was a bit longer, so I'm going to quickly change this scene over. Put that back, and then hopefully she should be in the correct position for camera 2. Brilliant. Awesome, you can see her hand there as well. Brilliant, fantastic. So this shot is coming together. Only camera 1 and camera 2 is looking a bit weird. So if I press play, her animation, because her animation is almost freezing, and then it's going to camera 2. So what I'm going to do to have this blend in a little bit better is what I can do is actually click on camera 2 and drag that over and create almost a crossfade between the two. And what this will do is create a really nice effect for us, where if I scroll this back, press play, you can see the cameras blend together straight away and create this really cool effect where they're working together. So camera 1 and camera 2 working in line. So let's go back to the start, press play. Lovely. And then straight to camera 3. Awesome. So our scene's really coming together. So as I said, we've got everything else animating. We've got the controller moving. We've got our shots blending together. We can even blend with the crossfade, as we know now. But as I said, for camera 3, I wanted to add a zoom, because I know that Akai is looking at this, but I want to create the intensity of, oh, is she going to grab the gun? Is she not? What's going to happen? And then end the scene. So what I need to do is we need to add another animation track. And this animation track will be for our camera. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add animation track. And I can drag in camera 3, and then it will prompt us to create an animator for camera 3. Fantastic, that's fine, we want that. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I'm at the start of my game scene. And to create almost like a live animation within our timeline, we need to use these red buttons, so a record button essentially. So once I press that, it should all go red. There we go, so it started recording. So the best way to do this is use your game scene and find camera 3, click on that there, and what I'm going to do is using the, I think the Z axis, yep, I'm going to slowly zoom in, and that will create a keyframe there. Just going to drag that timeline along, and then adding in closeness, and you can even add a tiny little bit of rotate to that gun. There's a little bit of clipping on the left hand side, but that looks good. So I'm going to unrecord this, scroll back with my cameras, and let's have a look at our whole scene. Nice. Fantastic. So have a look at that scene one more time. Cool, so there you go. We've added Cinemachine, we've used timeline, and we've implemented a free shot game scene view and creating a cutscene within our game. I will continue with this in a later tutorial. We'll see how we can maybe trigger that cutscene event within a game. So if you're running around and then you walk into a certain area or open a door, this cutscene could happen, and then we'll go from there and script that into your game. Cool. See you soon.